This is the Spiritual Discussion Program. I'm Saad in Southeast London. With me, as usual, is Gregory. Gregory, how are you and how is the weather where you are? Oh, I don't think Gregory's there. Let me check again. So we just make sure Gregory is there. Listeners, I'm Saad. I'm in Southeast London, in Bromley. And at the moment it's overcast and it's cold. Yes, so a little bit cool. I'm just making sure Gregory's with us. It seems having a problem with connecting with him. Oh, Gregory, are you there? Okay, we hopefully he will join us any moment. That's what I'm hoping. Gregory, are you there? Just checking now. I think my connection is not working so well with Gregory tonight. Let me try again. I'm going to try and bring him back. So, dear listeners, while we wait for Gregory, I just want to let you know this is, as I said, the Spiritual Discussion Program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abrushin. And we always have a topic for discussion, the new topic every week. The topic for tonight is Give God the Honor of Perfection. Give God the honor of perfection. You're welcome to join us with any questions or comments. You can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going onto the website where we are broadcasting. I'm just going to check. Gregory, are you able to be on Skype? Ah, okay. Okay, let's continue on. I see. Okay, so what we'll do. I see. Let's continue on our phone WhatsApp call on my number, and that's because we're live now. So I'll just put you on the loudspeaker to join us. So, dear listeners, yeah, let's do it like that until, yeah. So, listeners, yes, I've got Gregory with me on the phone. Somehow we can't connect online as we would like. So he will be joining on WhatsApp with me. So I was going to ask you, listeners, just to contact me on contact us on WhatsApp only with messages rather than phone call. Okay. So let me put you live now, Gregory. I'm just going to put you in loudspeaker. Gregory, how are you doing? How is the weather where you are?
One is fine. It is getting cold again.
Okay. Yes, same here in London. Here, it's at the moment it's overcast, and yes, it's cold. It has been warm, let's say reasonably warm. We are still coming into spring, so it's not ready yet. But the temperature's gone down overnight, let's say. So, welcome, listeners. Just to remind you, the topic that we are going to be discussing tonight is give God the honor of perfection. And I've given you our UK phone number to contact us on WhatsApp. Please don't call tonight, just contact us on messaging. Use messages to contact us. And also, You can go to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number one.com. And if you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any messages there, your questions or comments. So I'm going to begin with, what is the Grail Message? The Grail Message in the Light of Truth by Abrushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life, for through the knowledge mediated, the reader is again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail Message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover through the intuitive perception if what is stated is the truth. Okay, I will continue. If what is stated is the truth. Combining with the matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete word picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail Message, Abrushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail Message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail Message lives so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. I would like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace, if he earnestly seeks for the truth. Now, Gregory, I just want to check you're there. Can you hear me?
Yes, I am. Thanks.
Oh, very good. Okay, that's good. So Skype is working there. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic for our discussion tonight is give God the honor of perfection. Give God the honor of perfection. You are welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, and you can call now, since WhatsApp is now free. So you can call us, text us, or WhatsApp us on 079 39 641 958. That's our UK number. If you're outside of UK, it is 00 4479 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is Bless Radio 1, that's the number one, .com. There, if you scroll down on the home page, you will see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. Now, Gregory, you know I like to look up the meaning of the words in the topic in the dictionary. And so the topic again is, listeners, give God the honor of perfection. So the first word there is give. In the dictionary, I found there are two meanings they have given us there. The first one, freely transfer the possession of something to someone. So I'll repeat that. Freely transfer the possession of something to someone. Now, how is that good is this meaning, Gregory, for our discussion?
That is helpful.
Okay.
As long as the picture of giving or to give is perceived correctly.
Okay. Okay. So what I'll do, I will read out the second meaning and see if it helps us further. So this is again from the dictionary for the meaning of the word give. Cause or allow someone or something to have or experience something. Also, they say provide with. So the meaning here is a second meaning given in the dictionary for the word give. Cause or allow someone or something to have or experience something. Also, they say provide with. How good is this one now, Gregory?
It's a bit confusing.
All right. Okay. Maybe could you help us with something to say better, something, give it a clearer picture?
No, but the definition, the picture to give,
yes,
already explains it all. You use the expression transfer.
Right.
So that picture, as long as it's held intuitively, covers the whole thing.
Okay.
To give, so you can see some form of radiation, which is based on trust.
I see. Okay. That's fine. And I think when we read the whole topic, sentence of the topic, then these things become clearer. So just to remind again, listeners, the topic tonight is give God the honor of perfection. Now, I will move on to the next word, God. In the dictionary, again, we have two meanings given here. First one, it says in Christianity and other monotheistic religions, the creator and the ruler of the universe and the source of all moral authority, the supreme being. How's this one, Gregory? How's the definition there?
It is more of a description of something which is above the capacity of the human personality. So these are just descriptions, and sadly, it has been brought to religion. Whereas when one refers to the Almighty, which Almighty is not the supreme being as pictured by many, it's one is talking of a different species. Therefore, you find that These are only approximate picture which has been passed down through religions, through some other recognition. So one would not really hold it as that helpful because in each of the so-called religion, they have their own conception and they hold on to that. Whereas what is needed is a unique conception.
Right. So, well, I'm going to read out the second definition, which comes also from other religions. That's how they say it. In certain other religions, a superhuman being or spirit worshipped as having power over nature or human fortunes, a deity. How is this one there, Gregory?
That still falls upon the definition of what we just discussed. There is always the picture, the concept of it's that which is of the Almighty is of the same species as us. And that is why we have this supreme being, the way we picture it. So all these, strictly speaking, are not in accord with the laws of creation through which many who have been created may dare to approach to have a concept of the Almighty.
Thanks for your answer there, Gregory. It's a bit disappointing that we can't seem to get a proper picture, uh, but I will not go further at this moment. We will just continue, and hopefully, in our topic discussion, we will get the clearer picture. So now we'll move to the another word. The next word you can say, honor. Honor, again, I have two meanings given to in the dictionary. First one, high respect, great esteem. How is this definition there, Gregory?
They are very helpful and
Okay,
they go closer to what honor is.
okay, good, good. At least we are moving forward here. Now, the second meaning in the dictionary for the word honor, it is the quality of knowing and doing what is morally right. And the given example of that, I must, as a matter of honor, avoid any taint of dishonesty. So I'll repeat that. Another meaning for the word honor, the quality of knowing and doing what is morally right. What do you say on this one, Gregory?
Again, these are helpful, but that word morally has to be explained explicitly to to give further clarification. And the word or expression right, again, must be looked to in, I say, in a context, like you normally stress, in a context upon which all that exists is based.
Right. Okay. Okay. So I think we're going to keep going further and get to understand these things as we go along. So the next word I have, well, it says perfection in the topic, which is give God the honor of perfection. But as usual, whenever you look up words which are a bit made up of a smaller word, the dictionary definition seems to point to the smaller word. You'll understand it in a second when I say what did I find for the meaning of the word perfection in the dictionary. I found again two meanings. The first one, a person or thing considered to be perfect. So unfortunately, we now need to know what is perfect from this definition. So without further ado, I straight away looked up what is perfect. And so, Greg, let's look at this meaning of the word perfect. So perfect, it again, I have two meanings. It says uh, having all the required or desirable elements, qualities, or characteristics. as good as it is possible to be. So again, let me repeat that correctly. The definition of the word perfect in the dictionary, I've got having all the required or desirable elements, qualities, or characteristics as good as it is possible to be. How is this one, Gregory?
It is also a pointer, but a very limited one for that matter.
Okay, let's look at the second meaning. They say absolute, complete. So, which is used for emphasis. So, let's say complete, Gregory. How about this one?
That is nearest to it and is a feature which is usable.
Very good. I'm glad we are getting, say, near to what we require. Now, listeners, I just want to remind one more time, the topic again is give God the honor of perfection. And we unfortunately we found that the meaning of the word God or, was not very, let's say, very narrow, and even not even really correct, you can say, uh, because unfortunately in the dictionary it seemed to be referring to things within the realm of the human beings world, really. And usually, even in religion, the creator is considered something higher than human. So somehow they seem to have not got that right there. Um, but these descriptions, as you said, Gregory, are more correct. The creator and the ruler of the universe. That one is, let's say, closer to the what God is. Now, now the thing is, Gregory, um, we are being told, give God the honor of perfection. So we are saying we are being told to see that God is perfect, which sounds, of course, uh, right or correct in our thinking. Um, and then the next thing you do is look at your life or look at the life around you. And then you wonder, is that really correct? You can say God is perfect, but then the world, is that also perfect? And then we just mentioned that God is also the creator of this world or the ruler of this world, universe that we live in. So then you start thinking, is that really true? Um, and we are urged to give God the honor of perfection. So there's some way, how can I say, I don't know, not clarity there of understanding immediately, let's say. We can have a trust that there's a perfection, but when we see the world, we think doesn't look really perfect. So let me try to make a question from that. So, uh, Gregory, we said we started with this point that God is perfect, and He is the Creator. He or she. I don't want to identify as a male or female, but just we use the word he as just as a way to refer. So he's perfect, and then he's the creator of the universe, and so that means also us human beings, since we have also come into this world. Now, one thing about human beings, Gregory, we do go wrong. Yes, we can do the right thing, but we can also go wrong, and that seems to be very hard to uh, accept that if God is perfect and He created us, then how is it that we human beings go wrong? How can that be? That if He's, yeah, how can that be, Gregory?
Very simply, anyone who makes such a statement must have made that statement out of his own free will, because there are others who can make counter statement that that is not the case. And each of these individuals must have made statements based on their level of perception and on their free will. Therefore, what must be accepted without doubt is that the capability of making such statements must have been put there through the free will which is granted to the individual to negotiate or to negotiate its parts in nature, in creation. So it is the free will, and how one uses the free will. That is what many now observe. And at the same time, because they lack the clarity, they now turn around and accuse the one that granted them the free will to make decisions.
Thanks a lot for this answer, Gregory. What you have shown there, that there's a logical explanation of how we human beings are acting, and this is you could say, which is that we have free will to decide, to choose, to go this way or that way. In other words, to do right or do wrong. Just another way of saying it. And that is explaining, how we can go wrong. So now we cannot put the blame, like you say, accuse God. Oh, why did you do that? That you made us allow us to go wrong or right. But it's the way we have been made. That is how it allows us to go this way or that way. And then, but there's a question there, Gregory, again. So it's our decision. That's what you've pointed to. Our decision to pick a direction, yes, left or right or straight or back. That is how we can choose, or whatever decision we choose to make. It's our decision. Now, the other question that comes into my mind is that why is the Almighty allowing us to have such a decision where we can go wrong? It doesn't seem, how can I say, we talk that we should, we're supposed to do things which are of benefit, but to go wrong doesn't sound right, that it can be of benefit. So how can God make us with this free will, which allows us to go wrong? I know it also allows us to go right as well, but it seems not of benefit to go wrong. And that is what is meant to be our purpose, to benefit.
The free will must be understood rightly. First, one must look at creation and know that all that one observes, whether deeds or one's thoughts or one's intuitions, all these are in motion. And since all that is observable through one's intuition, through one's thoughts and deeds are in motion, it is only fair to say that there are laws that govern these motions. Basically, there are only two features of motion. The first feature is that the end of a motion that flows back to the beginning. This particular feature already gives us the strongest impression of a reciprocal activity. It also gives the other impression of an attraction. That is why the end flows back to the beginning. So for the individual whatever activity is engaged in, it should know that that activity has its own cycle. The second aspect of it is that motion in which the end does not flow back to the beginning. That again gives the strongest impression that when one thing is heavier than the other, that which is heavier sinks. That is why it didn't go back to the beginning. So from this, the choice is always there because the human personality, its thoughts, its intuition, its observation, its activities are always in motion. For the human personality to develop in the right way, the choice of development, of how it should proceed in each stage of development, that choice must be granted to it. For if the choice is not granted to the individual, then you will find that there is no free will. Therefore, that freedom of choice of how to be is intrinsically granted the individual. For as many individuals that are fledgling, that are making the effort to be, that freedom is granted, particularly to that which is spiritual. For that which is spiritual has that innate ability to attract or not to attract. That individual is unique. That individual is free to attract to itself that which will be of benefit to it. Or along the line, it may change the way it intends to experience. That change is peculiar to the individual. Therefore, to permit the individual to be able to attract and make changes and mature, the free will is granted to it. Without the free will, that maturity that it needs to improve, to become conscious and subsequently self-conscious, that cannot be realized. Therefore, the free will is granted to it. It is how he makes use of the free will that now counts. If it makes use of the free will in such a sense that is of benefit not only to itself, but also to its neighbors, in the environment, then he or she is a good householder. He knows how to make use of that which have been lent to him. If, however, he does not make use of it in the way which creation shows it to him through the laws of creation, through the attraction of homogeneity, through the laws of reciprocity, and through gravitation, then instead of it to become more conscious to rise higher, it sinks. And the individual human spirit perceives this immediately as it makes its decisions. So the free will is the gift that the human personality needs to use aright in accordance with the laws of creation which have been shown to it and through which it itself came into existence.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this picture that you have given us, that there are these natural laws of creation uh, which govern life. Like you said, the law of motion, it can, in one way, it can make you, something can happen that something that you do an action which returns to its, or you could say origin, or to its end, and then another action that can happen is where you don't, the action doesn't return to its end. But all this is reflected in these laws of creation that you've pointed to, and that's where the life is being governed. So we have free will, and it works within these natural laws. That is the context of the world that we live in, and we need to appreciate that to really understand life. We're going to keep exploring this further in a moment. I just want to let the listeners know that this is Bless Radio, and this is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uprushin. If you wish to know more about the Grail Message, or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that: www.grail, Grail message, message.com. And the topic that we're discussing tonight is give God the honor of perfection. Give God the honor of perfection. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. And if you scroll down on the homepage, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. And as I've said, we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 again, space live stream. That is for our the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can also listen to a recording of this show on YouTube the next day. Go to youtube.com and type it in the search box, Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 there, space, Grail Message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is Give God the Honor of Perfection. And of course, you can listen to the recording of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we're broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO .fm / Bless Radio 1. Again, that's the number 1 there. Now, Gregory, we're trying to understand this perfection, God, giving God the honor of perfection. So basically saying that God is perfect, and the way we, and you could say, recognize that is that there are natural laws, or the laws of creation, another way to say that, where life is being governed. All life, you can say, is being governed, not only human beings. Because we are concerned more with us human beings, that's why we think of our own life. But that is all being governed by these laws of creation, which are also perfect. That's maybe has not been emphasized, but it will become clear. Those laws are perfect. Yes, we know that we have free will, or maybe we don't know, but that is there. Human beings, we do have free will. However, as they say, when we do an action, there is a consequence. And then the laws bring out the consequence. So, and that is how the life is being governed. And you can say that, and the laws of the direct are perfect, and that's how you can be sure that there should be, let's say, a reward for whatever we do, a right reward, you can say, according to what we do or act. So this is now, it can make sense, when maybe previously we didn't have that clarity. And that also shows, Gregory, that can I say, Gregory, we are not perfect then, isn't it? Can I say that?
That is right to say we're not perfect.
Right.
But the thing, at the same time, we haven't considered what perfection is in relation to the Almighty that permitted creation. That has not been contemplated at all.
Right.
For we ourselves are only creatures of the Creator, creatures that have been permitted free will. There are others that are in creation that don't have a free will. You cannot talk about a stone having a free will to decide where to go, or the plant having it to decide or where to go or where not to go. You cannot talk about others that are not of spirit. You cannot talk about others that are not of human spirit, because it is the human spirit that have been permitted, that have been granted the free will. There are others that are responsible for maintenance of nature which is perceptible to the five senses, and of nature which is not perceptible to the five senses. There are others that walk in the world of matter. There are others that are above the world of matter, the immediate neighborhood. And there are others that are in the spiritual that are not granted free will, but their seat of activities are high up. There are others who are not even in creation that are intrinsic in the immediate radiation of the Almighty and walk consciously there. These are not the one we are referring to. One is referring to the human personality or the spirit gem that has been granted free will to navigate its own path to come to consciousness and subsequently self-consciousness.
Thanks a lot, Gregory. What you've shown there is, of course, we know we are not the only life, if I can say, uh, living around this in this world or creation. Even we know about animals, obviously, but then there's other beings or even creatures and others, as you say, even close to the near, let's say near to the Almighty, if we can say it that way. Uh, and all of them have, you could say, um, their own abilities and purpose. Like you say, some maintain nature. So all this is happening in this world that we exist in. And so when we talk about perfection, yes, we humans are not perfect, and others, you could say, maybe are also not perfect, and yet there's others who are, I will say, uh, in their task, they are perfect. Um, you know, so and all of them are working in this world of creation that we are inhabiting. So when you're aware, then you can say, oh, that's the perfection of the Almighty, which we are not really maybe appreciating, you know, and or we're looking at it in a very narrow way, just let's say our human life, and not really seeing that big picture that is actually out there. Um, so thank you for bringing that out again, Gregory. To bring us the focus that we need. Um, Now, I want to sort of move to another angle, Gregory. There is this, uh, let's call him devil, or he's also known as Lucifer, and he's known to, let's say, tempt us or cause evil, or lead us to evil, let me say. Um, Now, I'm wondering about that, this devil or Lucifer, as he's referred to. Um, Is that another power, Gregory, to God, which is like working? I don't know if I can say anti-God. I don't know how to refer to it. Um, it's like a good and evil, if I can think this way. One is acting in the good, and the other one is opposing that and doing the evil through the temptation, as we know. Uh, um, or let's say maybe we don't know, but we just have been given to understand that. So, is there, let me say, another power, Gregory, who is working against God, known as the devil, um, or is that, yeah, or yeah, is there such a thing like that? Or if you can you explain something about that, please?
Of course, there is Lucifer, but Lucifer is not another power. For there is one power that streams from the source of all power. Therefore, since when man strives aright to realize there's just one power, and it is that power that made creation possible. It is that power that maintains creation. Therefore, that power must be beneficial to creation. And one cannot say that which is beneficial to creation and its maintenance is bad or evil. When Lucifer is referred to, is referred to in accordance to the tasks which he himself needed to fulfill. Not fulfilling the tasks aright in accordance with the laws of creation, coupled with the love of creation. In that scenario, you find that those that he is supposed to influence and support, who had streamed out from their origin in order to experience and mature, needed to stream back as spirits that have become self-conscious, needed to stream back to their origin. If along the line anything is introduced which forestalls that, then that will not be beneficial to creation. And Lucifer was permitted to come in to support fledgling human personality to understand how to use a specific tool, all right, in accordance with the will of the Almighty, which will resonate with the love of the Almighty. Sadly, that was not fulfilled by Lucifer. And many who followed the advice he gave fell short of that which they are supposed to accomplish. However, the human personality has the free will to decide how to proceed. How to proceed in the sense to be. That means in its activities to resonate with the will of the Almighty, draw of the power, use it aright in accordance with this will and love, or to draw of the power and waste it in vanity. So instead of gradually maturing and streaming back to their origin, they are unable to do that. And that is the misdemeanor or the sin which now precipitates, or which is passed on to others, particularly in the world of matter. Much of what is discussed is vividly elucidated in the work In the Light of Truth.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for clarifying this picture of Lucifer, or the devil, as another way his name has become, or title has become. What happened basically with him, and really clarifying that there is only one power. Not this good and evil powers, as people might have thought. You know. Um, and so there's only one ruler, as they say, as we are pointing one creator. That's you know because otherwise there would be two. If there were two creators or two powers, you would have two systems, you could say, or which it doesn't make sense when you think clearly about it. Um, Now, this topic of perfection, Gregory, or give God the honor of perfection, it really, there's like 1,000 questions you can come out of it. Now, what I was thinking, Gregory, in the Bible, in Genesis, we are told that we are made in the image of God. And we started that we're saying God is perfect and we are not perfect. So there's a bit of a, how can I say, doesn't quite, when you say we are made in the image of God, it's not easy to understand that. That if God is perfect, how come we humans, I mean, I understand, as we started in the show, that why we are not perfect, because we've been given this free will to make decisions, and we have a different route, you could say, a role to play. Maybe I'm not being very clear about it, but basically there seems to be not easy to follow that if you are made in the image of God, that you are also not having perfect abilities, let's say. So how is that possible, Gregory?
Thanks for this particular question, because it confuses many. The confusion arises due to the wrong concept of the expression image. For when many look at a mirror, they see their image. That image is what they hold in their heads. But when you look at the image, that image of the mirror that is produced by the mirror, that has no life. So it's only a picture, a reflected picture, which reflected picture has no life. However, once the concept of image is understood rightly, then clarity comes in. Strictly speaking, it is said that man is made after the image. The image of the Almighty are basically the radiations that stream out of the source. That radiation, one may call them substantiality. That being substantiality, that is what is able to shape forms. That is what is capable of a picture. After the radiations, or if one considers the radiation on one hand, These radiations are not arbitrary in their activities. These radiations follow the divine laws, which divine laws are also the laws of creation, or the divine laws in creation. These laws, which one may hold very tightly and say these are the laws of motion. That law in which the end flows back to the beginning, that is a reciprocal activity. That is also an attraction, a flinging out, and a subsequent attraction back to the source. With creation came in precipitation. With creation came in that scenario in which the end does not flow back to the beginning, in which you have the laws of gravitation, which is in all of creation. But these things require power. Power resides only in the source, in the Almighty. So the concepts must be seen aright. On the right hand, one considers substantiality. On the left hand, one considers the laws, and the head, from which power issues. So there are three in one. Maybe that clarifies the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. On the right-hand side is the Son, substantiality. On the left-hand side is the Holy Spirit. And in all, where the power radiates, is the Father, the Almighty. That concludes everything. Now ask yourself, where is the human personality? Which human personality only came into existence far, far away from the origin, far, far away from divinity? Which divinity is the radiation that streams out in all perpetuity? The human spirit gem only came into existence after the prime beings at the uppermost points in creation came into existence. Those are the ones who are closest to divinity. After them, through their activities, the human personalities started their journeys as spirit gems. So these are weak personalities because they are unconscious. In the process of becoming conscious, other realms were permitted to come into existence where the motion is not as rapid as that closest to the source. Only there is it possible for the human spirit of yourself and myself being able to move out and gradually come to consciousness. And not only come to consciousness, but if one swings aright, becomes self-conscious based on that which have been sown into it, such that it will know how to live its life in support of creation based on the power which have been mediated to it. Now you must ask yourself, is it then possible with the expressions of human beings that they are made in the image of the Creator? That has been so grossly exaggerated. And it's only very, very faintly. However, if many strive to understand it right, by examining and weighing the work in the light of truth, then gradually the right concepts will emerge in their intuitions, which intuitions will impress on their back brain, subsequently on their frontal brain, and from there impressed on all their deeds, such that the human personality in its further weavings will ensure it resonates with the will of the Almighty, such that it's able to draw of the power which is there for its continuous existence.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this picture that you've been painted about how our concept of the image of God, we being the image of God, is not really right, and it is much bigger and greater than actually what we think. I've got quite a few more questions to ask, but before I do that, I just want to let the listeners know that you're listening to Bless Radio, and this is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program where we are introducing the Grail Message in the Light of Truth by Uprushin. The show starts at 6 p.m. UK time and finish at 8 p.m. and every week we have a topic. The topic that we are sharing, before I do that, I just want to know if you want to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And yes, the topic that we are discussing tonight is give God the honor of perfection. Give God the honor of perfection. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're, yes, I've forgotten, I think I'm not said this yet. If you're outside of UK, it is 00447939641958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number one.com. If you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. And we are also broadcasting on YouTube. Go to youtube.com. There you can type in for our live show, which is on Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, that's the number one, space live stream. You can also listen to a recording of this show the next day. Again, go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, the number one again, space, Grail Message, space. The topic of the show, which tonight is Give God the Perfection, Give God the Honor of Perfection. And you can listen to our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. Again, that's the number one there. Now, Gregory, what I'll do now, and listeners, I'm going to read something from the Bible where Jesus heals a blind man. This is from John chapter 5, if I'm correct. Let me make sure I'm not making a mistake here. No, it's John chapter 9. I'm sorry. John chapter 9. I will read, as much as we need to give the story. So this is from the beginning of the chapter. And as Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, Neither hath this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. I must work the works of him that sent me, while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. And when he had thus spoken, he spat on the ground and made clay of the spittle. And he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay, and said unto him, Go wash in the pool of Siloam. He went his way, therefore, and washed, and came seeing. The neighbors, therefore, and they which before had seen him, that he was blind, said, Is not this he that has sat and begged? Some said, That is he. Others said, He is like him. But he said, I am he. Therefore said they unto him, How were thine eyes opened? And he answered and said, A man that is called Jesus made clay, and anointed mine eyes, and said unto me, Go to the pool of Siloam, and wash. And I went and washed, and I received sight. Then said they unto him, Where is he? He said, I know not. They brought to the Pharisees him that aforetime was blind. And it was the Sabbath day when Jesus made the clay and opened his eyes. Then again the Pharisees, who asked him how he had received his sight. And he said unto them, He put clay upon my eyes, and washed, and do see. Therefore said some of the Pharisees, This man is not of God, because he keepeth not the Sabbath day. Others said, How can a man that is a sinner do such miracles? And there was division among them. They say unto the blind man again, What sayest thou of him that he hath opened thine eyes? He said, He is a prophet. But the Jews did not believe concerning him that he had been blind and received his sight, until they called the parents of him that had received his sight. And they asked them, saying, Is this your son, who ye say was born blind? How then doth now he see? His parents answered them and said, We know that this is our son, that he was born blind. By what means he now seeth, we know not, or who hath opened his eyes, we know not. He is of age, ask him, and he shall speak for himself. These words spake his parents, because they feared the Jews, for the Jews had agreed already that if any man did confess that he was Christ, he would be put out of the synagogue. Therefore said his parents, He is of age, ask him. Then again they called the man that was blind, and said unto him, Give God the praise. We know that this man is a sinner. He answered and said, Whether he is a sinner or no, I know not. One thing I know, that whereas I was blind, now I see. Then said they to him again, did he to thee? How opened thine eyes? He answered them, I have told you already, and ye did not hear. Wherefore would ye hear it again? Will ye be also his disciples? Then they reviled him and said, Thou art his disciple, but we are Moses' disciples. We know that God spake to Moses. As for this fellow, we know not from whence he is. The man answered and said unto them, Why, herein is a marvelous thing, that ye know not from whence he is, and yet he hath opened mine eyes. Now we know that God heareth not sinners, but if any man be a worshipper of God, and doeth his will, him he heareth. Since the world began, was it not heard that any man opened the eyes of the one that was born blind? If this man were not of God, he could do nothing. They answered and said unto him, Thou wast altogether born in sins. Dost thou teach us? And they cast him out. Jesus heard that they had cast him out. And when he found him, he said unto him, Dost thou believe on the Son of God? He answered and said, Who is he, Lord, that I might believe on him? And Jesus said unto him, Thou hast both seen him, and it is he that talketh with thee. And he said, Lord, I believe. And he worshipped him. I'm going to stop there. So, dear listeners, that was I was reading from John chapter 9 in the Bible, of the story where Jesus is healing a blind man who was blind from birth. Now, Gregory, we're talking about give God the honor of perfection. And here we see Jesus doing a miracle to this man, and his own disciples were asking Jesus, did this blind man sin, or his parents sin? But Jesus said, no, not the blind man has sinned, nor his parents, but to make, let's say, to give, allow this opportunity, if I'm going to use the word opportunity, to show the greatness of God, the works of God, let's say. So, What did he mean there? I'll say like that, Gregory, because there's something Jesus wants to show to these disciples, you can say, and maybe to the world as well, because you could see what the consequence of that healing had on the not only on the blind man, but on the people around the Pharisees and others. So, so let me go back to my what is the point of what was my question, Gregory? So, when Jesus healed this blind man, um, what was he trying to show? Yeah.
Well, thanks for this reading, and very lengthy.
Yes.
In the first instance, one must clarify within oneself that the mission of Jesus is primarily a spiritual one. Therefore, all that has been observed, some of the things he said, must be viewed from a spiritual perspective. Else, there will be confusion. On some occasions, it may be narrowed down to basically the earthly perspective. In the first case, when the disciples asked him or questioning him about maybe the sins of this guy, and he says, no, doesn't mean that because someone has this particular or one is in this particular state, he or she must have sinned. One should not forget that there are many persons who, in order to understand the challenges of others, have a strong volition to experience along that line. In that case, though without any blemish, they take upon themselves the mission to incarnate on earth, to experience a particular scenario so as to mature, to be able to understand the challenges others go through. For such, it is a personal sacrifice, such that in understanding the challenges of others, they themselves can be of help to others. And being of help to others is also a glorification of the power of the law, of the opportunities that made it possible. When it is said the eyes were open, one should take that more of in a spiritual sense, which is basically recognition. In the initial state, there was no recognition. But Christ, having intervened, there is recognition. It was not so even with the others who says we have the laws of Moses, because they were still referring to the past tense. They had not come to recognition, so they were blind. So whoever is unable to come to a recognition with the objects of cognition, with the happenings in nature, with the happenings to all the variations in nature of human or non-human, whoever is unable to come to recognition in accordance with the will of the Almighty, such a person is blind, such a person is deaf. Whoever has been able to cross that barrier in their recognitions, they now see the light. So these are metaphors. When one strives to write, many of these things become clear when metaphors are used. What kept happening is that many, even some of the disciples, still had not arrived at the clarity of what Christ was pointing to. Therefore, whenever any individual strives to read biblical text, there must be that effort to understand it from a spiritual standpoint, which is only possible when the individual absorbs these words and take them in intuitively. Then and only then, subsequently, will fresh pictures arise, which throws clarity and finally recognitions. Only that is of benefit to the individual here on earth or hereafter. For whoever is unable to come to recognition in accordance with the laws of nature, of creation, shuts himself or herself out from the mainstream. For that which is referred to as the human personality on earth is of body and spirit. That which is necessary for continuous movement, for continuous progress towards its home. That is spiritual recognition that the individual needs to proceed aright and joyfully.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer. Truly, I mean, this story, let's say it has a maybe double meaning, or more, even more than double meaning, many meanings, if you see it in the real spiritual perspective that we are meant to see. Yes, there's a physical sight that we all have, but there's also a spiritual sight, which in theory we all have as well, but are we using it? You know, we use our physical eyes daily, but are we using our spiritual sight? And that's what Jesus is pointing to. There's a blind man there. Physically, he cannot see. And yet, when he's healed, he just gives his honest answer that what happened. And then at the end, when Jesus explains it to him, he understands Jesus, you know, while the Pharisees are struggling, maybe out of their arrogance, they think they already know the answers, they're not able to see. So it's almost like the blind can see, but the physically blind can actually see spiritually, if I can say that more correctly. And those who are physically with sight are spiritually blind. So it's quite funny. In fact, I want to share this, the last verses of this chapter, which makes that very clear. So this is how Jesus talks at the end. And Jesus said, "For judgment I am come into this world, that they which see not might see, and that which see might be made blind. And some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words, and said unto him, Are we blind also? And Jesus said unto them, If ye were blind, ye should have no sin. But now you say, We see, therefore your sin remaineth. So it's really, the story is quite incredible. But only you will understand the story if you know there's a physical sight and there's a spiritual sight. And just because you have physical sight doesn't mean you can see with the spiritual sight. And you can each can be run said vice versa, but truly it has to be understood in a spiritual way to anyone for anyone to get the right understanding. Um, so it's a really incredible story. Um, yes, so dear listeners, I just want to again remind you, you're listening to Bless Radio. This is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdrushin. If you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic that we're talking or discussing tonight is give God the honor of perfection. Give God the honor of perfection. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one type in any questions or comments. And we are also broadcasting on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 again, space live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can listen to a recording of this show again on YouTube. Go to youtube.com. That is after the show next day. So go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1. Again, that's the number 1 there. Space Grail Message. Space the topic of the show, which tonight is Give God the Honor of Perfection. Of course, you can also listen to a recording of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. Again, that's the number 1 there. Now, Gregory, you could see Jesus doing miracles, Gregory, healing the blind man. Now, there are many, many stories of Jesus doing miracles. And I just wanted to, let's explore them, and we are talking, give God the honor of perfection. So you're wondering, does that mean God can do anything, or Jesus, the Son of God, can do anything? And for example, we hear this miracle Jesus turning water into wine, turning a clay into a bird, or bringing back the dead to life and healing those with leprosy. So a number of different miracles there, Gregory, and which, I mean, even people cannot do it today, or nobody seems to have been able to do it since Jesus, and wondering, is this really true that it happened? And and then is it their perfection there? You know, um, yeah. So let me just repeat it, Gregory. So when Jesus did these miracles, um, which is like, I'll give you 3 4 examples. One is turning water into wine, turning a bird, making a bird from clay, bringing the dead to life, and also healing those with leprosy. Such miracles. Was this real? First question: is that really real? These happenings, and if so, how is that? Because it seemed like it only Jesus can do that. So you're wondering, and God is Jesus as being the Son of God. Is there something that showing power there of perfection? So I know this 3-part question really. So first question part, Gregory, did Jesus really do these miracles?
Well, thanks for these questions. Each scenario must be examined separately to come to a conclusion. In each scenario, if what is claimed that he did are not in accordance with the laws of nature or the laws of creation, which he himself bears, then there will be a violation of the laws of creation and a violation of himself. And Christ will not violate himself. So when one hears that, oh, he made clay, just from clay and turned into a bird, the question the individual must ask, is that in accordance with the laws of creation? If yes, then the individual must find out if that is the case. So the individual must weigh, must examine step by step to understand it, how that came into being. In the case where it was said that he healed the sick, the question then becomes, again, is that possible in accordance with these laws? If it is possible, what power did he use? How did he accelerate the healing process? These are the things that the individual must find out. Waiting for others to find answers and pass on to them is not helpful, for only that through which the individual investigates, that means in his weighing, in his examination, not only in thoughts, but in deeds, and also in its intuitions. So there are 3 areas, 3 different categories. The categories of deeds, which many refer to that they saw, the category of one's thoughts, and the category of one's intuition. then and only then can one say definitely that yes, they are in accordance with the will of the Almighty, which Christ Jesus himself fulfilled. Else, he will never have gone against the laws through which he himself was able to incarnate on earth. So it is left as an exercise for any listener to examine these things in accordance with the laws of creation, which laws of creation, the clarification, what this forum is all about. So one should not be so gullible as to consider arbitrariness as a hallmark of perfection. The laws of creation, which has been woven into creation from the first beginning, the divine laws which impress in creation are the laws of creation. And that being the case, these are the laws of motion, or these express the laws of motion. So the individual is granted the opportunity to first observe in deeds, to observe in his thoughts, and to observe in its intuition. For only through such exercises will it strengthen itself, and all dogma, all schemes that tend to establish arbitrariness will vanish, because subsequently the individual who investigates will come to the conclusion that creation is ordered, and that creation indeed is well ordered, so well ordered in accordance with the laws which have been woven in creation. And Christ, being a personification of divine love, fulfilled these laws.
Thanks very much, Frederick, for this answer. I know you've given us a homework there, um, uh, to investigate ourselves. But I want to sort of ask again another question in line with this one, um, just to understand. We say God is the Almighty, like all powerful, you can say. So, does that mean he can do anything? I mean, one thing in my head straight away comes that he cannot do evil. So when we say anything, it sounds a bit ridiculous. God is not evil. He cannot do evil. That one is clear in my head. But then, let's say God wants to do something, whatever he wants to do, uh, but which is not evil. Just to be clear, but he wants to do something. Can he do anything that he needs to do that? Or is he limited somehow? Because the word is almighty. So it means it sounds like he can do anything. Except I qualified that with saying evil. He cannot do evil. This, I think we all, how can I say, recognize or have some appreciation of that. But can he do anything he needs to do? Let me say it like this. What do I mean by that? Just by saying, how can I put it? Just by having that wish to do something, can it happen just like this? Or is there something we need to appreciate, really recognize. That's what I'm trying to get to, Gregory, because I say when we say anything, what do we? What does that really mean? If God can do anything, is that really true?
When that word Almighty is used, that refers primarily to the power, for it is the might of the power that permitted creation, that maintains creation, which creation the human intellect cannot even conceive, because it itself is a product of limited vibrations, limited movement, limited motion. That might, which radiates continuously, unstoppable, has always been what radiation is, remains as radiation that streams out. But the streaming out to form creation is not done in an arbitrary manner, because one finds that the streaming out itself is motion. And again it's stressed. There are only two types of motion, or whatever motion is considered, it is reducible to just two types, not 100. Basically reducible to two types. That motion in which the end of the motion flows back to the beginning, that already gives the strongest impression of a reciprocal activity. And also the activities of an attraction of homogeneity of the same species. That is why it goes back to the beginning. That is one. The other one is the case in which the end does not flow back to the beginning. That presents the picture of gravitation as a process of cooling down and taking on form. Aside of this, there are no others. And at the beginning, the discussion is that there is substantiality, which is the radiation, the natural radiation, and the laws which govern this motion, the laws of creation. These are personalized, just as you have the radiations themselves. And then the almightiness, whence comes the power that permits motion to be. These are not arbitrary. It is the human personality, due to its limited understanding, that is capable of arbitrary behavior, not of the Almighty. And not of those people or those who wish to resonate with the will of the Almighty, with the law of the Almighty. Those ones will not even dare to consider arbitrariness and use the power which has been lent to them for evil. For it is said in the prayer, for thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. The power belongs to him and him alone. All else is lent to human personality to mature.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this answer and the picture you have given us. I'm we are talking about give God the honor of perfection, and we have said already that we human beings are not perfect, but somehow let's say, and also we have clarified that we are not the image of God. We have come after the image of God, and it's like these are like spiritual pictures being given to us to direct us, you can say, to our purpose as human beings. And I was thinking about this, or even to recognize who we are as human beings, let's say, to get a clarity about that. So I was wondering, okay, if we are not perfect, maybe the thing what we are trying to do is to become perfect, or maybe strive for perfection. Maybe this is what I want to say. So if this is that is the case, uh, first of all, Gregory, I just want to confirm that is that our goal to strive for perfection, and what does it really mean? Because everybody has their, you could say, limited ability. We are not, we do not have unlimited power like God, the Almighty Father God has, but we must have a purpose, where we said already the purpose is to become from unconscious to conscious to self-conscious, which I realized this in experiencing life. But is it also to become perfect, Gregory? Let me ask like that. Are we meant to become perfect?
It is supposed to be to strive after perfection. That means to look up to perfection, and in one's activities to proceed along that path until we become self-conscious. When the human personality becomes self-conscious in accordance with the will of the Almighty, which has been woven into creation, then one may say it is now complete. For those talents which were sown into it, it has awakened those talents and is able to use it completely in accordance with the will of the Almighty. So that is where it strives after perfection. For perfection itself, the completeness which lies in the Almighty, it strives along that channel such that it's able to awaken and becomes self-conscious. It is only when it becomes self-conscious, aware, and takes its responsibilities fully, not partly. It takes its responsibilities completely. Then it now takes its responsibility in perfection that it has acquired in the awakening of the talents which were implanted into it. So, seeing these expressions with the right picture helps the individual and at the same time allows him to show gratitude for the power that permitted it or that has been lent to it on its journey from unconsciousness to consciousness and self-consciousness. Only then will it have completed its journey towards perfection by being self-conscious and fulfilling the tasks completely that are now his own. For he or she who is now self-conscious is able to receive of the power, is able to receive of the blessings, to make use of it, to bring it joy and happiness, and to pass it on to others, just as he himself was supported in becoming, in starting from as an unconscious spirit gem to a conscious spirit gem, and then finally a self-conscious human spirit. So is he now in a position to completely use that which has been permitted it in the support of others. That is all.
Thanks very much for that explanation, Gregory. Dear listeners, we've come to the end of the show tonight on the topic of give God the honor of perfection. Now, this topic, it was the inspiration for that was from a quote in the Grail Message from the lecture called Errors. And I wanted to end this show tonight by reading, you could say, one page from that lecture called Errors. So I'm taking it from a middle of the lecture, so it might not flow perfectly as we would like, but I thought it will. The idea is to give this idea what is giving honor to the perfection of God, or give God the honor of perfection. So this is from the lecture in the Grail Message called Errors. Only the indolent one is content with faith. It is also faith which can become the butt of scoffers. And the word faith, wrongly interpreted, is the barrier which today obstructs the road to mankind's progress. Faith is not meant to be the cloak generously covering all slothful thinking, which, like a sleeping sickness, gradually steals over and paralyzes the spirit of man. Faith should really become conviction. Conviction, however, demands life, the keenest examination, where even one gap, one unsolved riddle remains, conviction becomes impossible. Therefore, no one can have genuine faith as long as he has a question unanswered. Even the words blind faith show that there is something unsound. Faith must be alive, as Christ already once demanded. Otherwise, it serves no purpose. But to be alive means to bestir oneself, to weigh, and also to examine, not dumbly accepting the thoughts of others. After all, blind faith plainly means lack of understanding. What a person does not understand, however, cannot bring him spiritual benefit either, for through the lack of understanding, it cannot come to life within him. But whatever he does not fully experience within never becomes his own either. And only what is his own helps him to ascend. After all, no one can walk and go forward along a road containing great yawning clefts, where man's knowledge cannot take him any further. He must come to a spiritual standstill. This fact is irrefutable and no doubt also easily understood. Hence, he who wishes to advance spiritually should awaken. He can never proceed on his path to the light of truth in his sleep, nor with a bandage or a veil over his eyes. The Creator wants to have his humanity seeing in creation. To be seeing, however, means to be knowing. And knowledge does not go with blind faith. Only indolence and slothful thinking lie in such a belief, not greatness. The privilege of being endowed with the ability to think also brings man the duty to investigate. In order to avoid all this, man, out of laziness, has simply so belittled the great Creator as to ascribe to him arbitrary actions in proof of his omnipotence. He who but will think a little must again find a great error therein. An arbitrary act implies the possibility of diverting the existing laws of nature. However, where such a thing is possible, perfection is lacking. For where there is perfection, there can be no alteration. Thus, a large part of humanity erroneously represents the omnipotence of God in such a way that those who think more deeply would have to regard it as a proof of imperfection. And therein lies the root of much evil. Give God the honor of perfection. Then you will find the key to the unsolved riddles of all life. It shall be my endeavor to bring serious thinkers to this point. A sigh of relief shall go through the circles of all seekers for the truth. Finally, they will joyfully recognize that there is no mystery, no gap in the entire course of world events. And then they will see clearly before them the road to ascent. They only need to follow it. Dear listeners, this was a reading from the lecture Errors in the Grail Message. If you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that www.grail, Grail, Message, MESSAGE.com. Okay, is there anything you'd like to say to the listeners to say goodbye?
Wishing listeners a beautiful week ahead.
Thank you. Same from me, listeners. Have a beautiful week ahead. We'll be back as usual next Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time with another topic. Good night and God bless.